Hi, everyone, and welcome to another round of the Edward Jones Chatting Cage. I'm JB. You may know me. I've been here once or twice before, and today you get some FaceTime with Jake Odorizzi of the Rays, pitcher extraordinaire. Jake, thanks for hanging out with some fans today.
Yeah, not a problem. Looking forward to it.
Lots of questions already fired up on Twitter and the MLB Fans app. If you're watching the show live on that app, you can use comments section to get some stuff in, but more importantly, join the show. Get FaceTime with Jake. Don't let me do all the talking, because you know I will. This is how it works, folks. Hashtag Chatting Cage on Twitter. I'll read those. Get your device fired up and join us here in the cage. In the meantime, I'll use that MLB Fans app and go to a comment which has a great question about it. And I like this one, Jake. It's from Respect the Seven. Was there a legendary pitcher that you modeled your game after?
Not really. I grew up a Cardinals fan. I grew up right outside of St. Louis, right in southern Illinois. So I grew up watching a lot of the Cardinals, and a lot of the guys I watched were Matt Morris was one of the first ones that I watched. Chris Carpenter as I got older, Wainwright as I was kind of in the high school years. So a lot of those guys were, kind of instrumental in just me watching how they go about things, how they work, and obviously they had great track records. And Wainwright's still one of the most elite pitchers today. So I had a good group of guys that I kind of got to watch and model myself after, and just went about things the right way. So I had a nice lead into pitching.
You certainly did. If that's a trio to model after, those guys are not just outstanding pitchers, but they comport themselves really well as human beings as well, which is awesome. A fan steps into the cage. First one of the day. What's your name? What's your question for Jake?
Hey Jake, my name's Aiden, and I'm a big fan of you. I actually have a bobblehead. I don't know if you're able to see, but I was wondering, what was your most exciting pitching moment in your career?
Well, first off, thanks for joining us, Aiden. I can't see the bobblehead, but is it the Tampa one or the Wisconsin Timber Rattlers one?
Tampa.
Nice, very cool. I think one of my most enjoyable moments, other than my debut, was I made a start in St. Louis in 2014. So it was kind of like a coming home type of a thing. I watched 100 plus games there as a kid growing up, and getting to pitch there on the field was one of the most surreal moments of my career. And I actually got to pitch against Adam Wainwright, who I grew up kind of watching and idolizing, and I got to step in the box and hit against him too, which I was many years removed from hitting. So it was just an awesome experience. I had about 400 to 500 people from my town come over, and it was just one of those moments that will be etched in my memory forever.
A great question from a young fan and a phenomenal insight to a moment there for Jake. Thanks for sharing that with us, and thanks for joining us in the cage. This is how it works, folks. Just like that, get FaceTime with Jake. Don't let me do all the asking, because I got plenty of questions. I'll read them for you. We'll go like this. Goldie Snake 44 wants to know, Jake, this one, we get a lot of clubhouse questions. I don't think we've heard this one before. Who's the strongest guy in the clubhouse?
Strongest guy in the clubhouse? Oh, shoot. I would have to say, prior to wrist injury, Logan Morrison.
Sure.
He's a pretty strong dude. There's not too many guys that are throwing around a bunch of weight during this season. They're just trying to get away from the aches and pains. But another one, Corey Dickerson, another strong dude, and I think nobody's really that weak, but those two guys kind of stand out for the muscle. One of the most strong, I guess you would say. He's not with us anymore, but Brandon Geyer. That dude is a specimen. Worries about everything that he eats. Low body fat, so he's just shredded on top of that. He knows he looks good, and I think everybody could probably agree he was probably the most strong.
Awesome insight on that. We got a fan in the cage. What's your name and what's your question for Jake?
Hello, I'm Mauricio Palmer from Arnold, Maryland, and I was wondering what your favorite song is.
Oh.
My favorite song? Oh, that's a tough one. I'm a country fan. I like all types of music, to be quite honest, but I think country would be my favorite genre. As for a song, I don't know if I have a favorite song at the moment, to be quite honest. I like Eric Church a lot, Thomas Rhett. Those are the two artists, but I can't think of a specific song at the moment. I just kind of listen to whatever pops on XM when I'm listening to going to the field and coming home. So I'm just a big fan of everything.
There you have it. Great. It's good to know. See the genre and then the artist. That's always good to know what kind of music you listen to. Now, do you listen to that music on the way in to get you pumped up? What do you want the music to do on the way to the ballpark on a day you're starting? What's that, or a day you're pitching? What's that like for you?
It's more of a rock day going to the stadium, and before the game, a little bit of a hard rock just to get the juices going, get a little intensity going. So I listen to like Pandora, like the hard rock radio, or driving to the field, I go XM Octane on XM, and they kind of gets me going. It's more of I'm very laid back and usually quiet, but that's the day you need to start getting pumped up and get a little fire about you. So that's a good way to get it going prior to getting to the field. And once you're there, you kind of got to stay in the mood.
There you have it, folks. If you see Jake heading to the game day, there's probably some pretty hard rock coming out of that car. Dig that a lot. Thanks for that, Jake. We're going to stay in sort of this sort of space a little bit. Where was that question? There it is. My Socks Are White from the MLB Fans app. Great name there, by the way. Wants to know, what's the best thing to eat in Florida?
Best thing to eat. Seafood's right up there. Obviously, you're right on the coast. I think they're known for grouper. That's a big thing that time of the year. I think it goes through seasons, but that's kind of the Florida grouper sandwich. That's a big thing. And then once it gets in season, stone crab's a big thing down there too. Our high A teams actually named the stone crab, so that's how big of a thing it is in Florida. So I would have to say, probably one of those two things: the grouper or the stone crabs.
There you go, folks. Listen, you can hang out, listen to good music, eat some good seafood. Jake's got it covered. This is what you do. This is the things we discovered.
Yeah, we could find a beach somewhere and tie it all together.
That's outstanding. We go back to the MLB Fans app right now. Oh, no, we don't. We got a fan with us. Fantastic. Hey, fan, what's your name? What's your question for Jake?
Hi, I'm Aaron from Michigan, and did you play any other sports, like in high school or in your earlier years?
I did. That's a great question, actually, because I'm a big advocate of having, kids play multiple sports. I grew up playing football, basketball, baseball. I played soccer when I was younger. That transferred to football, but I think basketball and football were very instrumental in me becoming the baseball player that I am, just for teaching athleticism of basketball, running and jumping, the football mentality, the explosiveness you need for that. They all helped me kind of translate it to the baseball field, and I think I am where I am today is because I played all those sports growing up, and I didn't get burnt out on baseball. There's so many people nowadays that want you to specialize in one sport and pick your sport and follow it all the way through, and I think that's just you're really crippling yourself and just trying to make a selection like that. You have to learn things from other sports that really translate, plus you get burnt out of them and it ruins it for you. So I'm a big advocate of multi-sports as long as you can, just to get you ready, and it's fun on top of that, and that's the main thing. You just want to have fun. You don't want to feel like it's a job when you're 12, 13 years old.
So well said, Jake. Aaron, I hope you got that and heard that one. It's so true. The single sport 365 days is pretty much proven to be not a great way to go, and as Jake said, it's not as much fun, and really fun starts it all. Speaking of fun, I'm going to go to the EDJ question of the day for Jake. Jake, and across, I'll do this, as you played sports, all sports growing up, and some minor league and plenty of Major League Baseball games, here's the question. What's the coolest game you've ever been a part of, and why?
Like played in or just experienced?
I'm opening it up.
Anything in the building.
Experienced in the building, you were around, you were there. The coolest game.
I'll give you a couple. The one that I was in, I didn't play in it, but it was in the big leagues. It was when we made the playoffs in 2013. The play-in game we had in Texas. David Price threw a complete game, got us on to the wild card game. the atmosphere of that was incredible. And then the wild card game, it was in Cleveland, and Alex Cobb threw a fantastic game. And the ups and downs of playoff baseball, being right there on the field, was I always felt like I was, in the game myself, but I was just watching it from the sidelines, nervous as could be. It was so phenomenal. From an outside point, I went to Game 7 of the 2011 World Series in St. Louis. Just purely as a fan, I wanted to experience, that atmosphere. Somebody's going to win the World Series that day, and we're going to see it. So I couldn't pass up the opportunity to go watch that game, and it was such a phenomenal experience. And I want to say that it could help me down the road of, if we're ever in that situation, playoff baseball, World Series baseball, whatever it may be, having sat through a Game 7, seeing the highs, the lows, the emotions that go with that from a fan standpoint, hopefully translates to the field. I don't know if it does or not, probably not, but I like to think that it does. And then just 2 years ago, we went to the Stanley Cup, one of the Stanley Cup games in Tampa when the Blackhawks and Lightning were playing each other. So a lot of us from the team went over and checked out that game, and that was another great atmosphere. So I've had the good fortune to go see a lot of cool things and be a part of some cool things, but hopefully there's more to come.
That's a great list to start, and I love that, Jake. You're exactly right. That's a great baseline, and now you're going to build on that as the years go by. That's fantastic. A lot of good games in there, by the way. Fans joining us in the cage, I'm sure they're excited. What's your name? What's your question for Jake?
Hi, my name is Nasha. My question is, would you rather have Chris or Kevin Kimmer's eyes?
I think the most well-known eyes are Kiermaier's, and the most well-known hair is Arch's. So if you could mix the two, I think you'd have a fan favorite on your hand, because those are the two things that get the most play on this team for non-baseball related things, his eyes and his hair. So they'd make a good person if you combined them, I guess.
The ultimate Ray begins with those two features. That's something.
Yeah.
An excellent question. This is why we like the Chatting Cage. You get them all. You get everything built in. It's fantastic. I'm going to follow up on that one. This is actually a good one from the MLB Fans app to follow with. R. Fernandez 02 wants to know, Jake, if you were to go on a long road trip with anybody from the team, who would it be and why?
Ooh, there's a lot of good choices you could pick. Let me think here. Probably a long road trip. Probably Arch. We could have a lot of conversations not about baseball. We could have some great in-depth baseball conversations. He's very knowledgeable, as people know just by what they've seen, and he could enlighten me on some other stuff that I haven't ever thought about or known about outside of the baseball world and things along that line. Plus, we get along, really well. So I think I could, stand sitting in a car with him for multiple hours, and we wouldn't try to kill each other. So I think that factors into it too.
I think that's a big factor. So it's good to know that he can fulfill all those roles as a co-pilot on a big long road trip. You need those things, man, for sure.
Yep, just a good teammate overall.
Outstanding. All right, well, Jake, I know you got a lot going on today. Did you have a good time today? That was a Chatting Cage. Think about ready to wrap it up.
I did have a great time. Yeah, there were some good questions, some off the wall questions, which I really really liked, and then some in-depth ones. So I couldn't have asked for a better time.
Man, we didn't either. I know the fans are fired up. Fans, I'm sorry if we didn't get to you. I appreciate it, but we're going to do it again. I want to thank Jake, and I want to thank you, the fans. We'll see you on the next round, the Edward Jones Chatting Cage.